Thank you very much, Hayden. As food prices have soared over the past few years, many people have started some at-home gardens. But is your soil good enough for planting? Currently, White Harvest Farms is holding multiple classes geared towards at-home farming, and there will be a soil biology class on August 26th. We're pleased to be joined by Alan Skinner, who will lead that class, and Michelle Maule from the Claire White Mission and White Harvest Farms. So, guys, thank you very much for waking up early with us. Alan, I'm going to start with you. What are some of the best ways to ensure nutrient-rich crops?
Rich, if you're building a home, you want a good foundation. If you have a lousy foundation, your house is going to settle, and that's not good. Well, it's no different in the soil. You know, we neglect soil because we think we can just kind of solve it with some chemicals and things. But if you build really good soil, then everything above the ground is going to be marvelous. It'll be attractive. It'll be flavorful, and it'll be nutrient dense, and even high yielding. Okay,
and Michelle, we've already seen White Harvest Farms has held multiple classes as well. What's the schedule like, and how do people get tickets to this specific event?
So they can go to our website, www.clairewhitemission.org, or on Eventbrite. Just search White Harvest Farms, and we're doing these all the way through the end of the month. And so today, actually, starting at 12 o'clock, we're going to have a workshop at the farm, and you'll be able to catch Alan on the 26th teaching about soil fertility and showing people how to really make their soil good, because we know good soil means good food.
Well, let's dive into this. And I will admit to the audience at home, right before this segment, I said, all right, well, we got some dirt here. And I was very quickly
bad.
corrected. So, Alan, walk through what exactly do we have here, and what do you look for when you see dirt versus soil?
Right. So the good question. The difference between dirt and soil is dirt is just plain old dirt with no life in it, and soil is when you bring it to life with the microorganisms that are there in nature. There's no reason why we can't use those microorganisms in nature on our farms, in our garden, and our lawns. So the first thing you got to do is you got to know what you got. And so we have some soil testing devices. This is a soil probe that I use to take soil tests.
And this is as simple as like drop it in and pull some soil out.
And homeowners can also do this with a trowel, and you want to mix it in a 5-gallon bucket and then send the sample off to a lab. That's for the mineral component. I've got some other things here I use to test soil. This is a compaction tester. If your soil is compacted, your roots can't grow and access the nutrients down deep in soil. And let me put that back carefully. And then this is an auger that I'll do for some clients who want that. And I can go down and say 3 feet, and you really learn a lot about soil. You learn about things that you may not want to learn about. Yep, exactly. Sure. That you may find that you've got debris or an old garbage dump when you can't put a garden on a garbage dump. So
okay, and walk me through what types of soil do we have here? The different elements here.
So the thing is, what I'm looking at here is that again, getting back to the dirt soil question analogy. Sure. Like this is an example. This soil sample right here is soil that is just in an area where there's not a lot of diversity of the plants or anything, and it's very low. When I look under the microscope, and I'm microscope trained through a program called www.soilfoodweb.com, Dr. Elaine Ingham, and I can assess the soil or I can assess compost to tell you exactly what's in it for biology. And this soil, this is like soil you'd see on the side of the road, and it's very, very low diversity of microorganisms in it. But this is an example of our soil at the farm.
Yes, at White Harvest we have good soil.
The great soil, and it meets the minimum requirements that Dr. Elaine Ingham has established for lots of biology diversity. So the question is if you've got poor biology in your soil, and by the way, in nature, that's how nature, with the microorganisms that are below the soil or in the soil, they provide nutrients to things that grow. So we're trying to do that on a farm or a garden or something like that. So then the question is how do you get the biology levels up? And the way you do that is you make this special compost, the term called biocomplete compost, which is biocomplete compost that has a lot of the microorganisms in it, and you apply that at certain rates to this poor soil, and you turn dirt into soil.
Well, because I noticed that the color is far darker in the better soil from White Harvest Farms versus the dirt from not White Harvest Farms.
Exactly.
And if you're a good student of Alan, you'll know like those things to look for. And Alan, you got to help me remember. You're looking for a dark chocolate color.
Well, that's for the compost.
For the compost, the good soil that you want in your garden or in your farm. And then you want to see some of these chips in here. This is a part of the recipe. You want to see some of that.
Well,
and what else?
Well, what you want to do is with really, really good compost, and this is something you can make at home, but you got to get some training for it. But
which is why you want to come to the workshop.
And we'll learn these things at the workshop. At the workshop, are you going to tell people what things to put in their compost if they're composting? Like, what would be good if I'm deciding to make my own compost at home, what should I be dropping in?
The more diversity of the organisms below the soil, the happier your plants are going to be. So how do you get diverse organisms? You got to have diverse food sources. So like the 3 components I put in my compost, this also is this compost will heat up, and you got to monitor temperatures. But you want a high nitrogen component, which is like, say, a horse manure or some kind of manure, or maybe even like some beer grain, spent beer grain. You want a green component, which is like clippings, lawn clippings, or something, but with no chemicals. You got to make it chemical free. And then woody choices. So the woody choices are going to be like, say, wood chips or dead leaves or things like that, or twig. But it's got to be, kind of a shredded, but not so small that it can clog up the pile. A pile has to breathe as it's going through the composting process.
Well, very cool. So we'll learn more about soil science on August 26th at White Harvest Farms. Michelle, before we go, we have to wrap up, but what other events are going on at the farm, and how can people get tickets to Alan's speech on the 26th?
Absolutely. So you can go to our website, www.clairwhitemission.org. Today at 12 o'clock, we have a natural dye class. Next weekend, we're doing a herbalism class, and then we'll be having Alan on the 26th. And all of these workshops are teaching about sustainability, agriculture, and farming. And if you're a hobbyist, it's great. If you're a landscaper, it's great. If you're a farmer, all of these workshops are for you.
Well, very cool. And hopefully you can enjoy these and learn the difference between dirt and quality soil.
You got it. Good job.
I'm learning things already. We're back right after this.